The chamber floated in silence above a dying red star. Around a long black table sat 12 cloaked figures, their faces hidden beneath shadowed hoods. No one spoke at first. The air itself seemed afraid to move. The Council of 12 had gathered again, the oldest rulers of the galaxy. Each represented a powerful race that controlled thousands of worlds. Yet tonight, their attention was fixed on one small planet far away, a blue world called Earth. From the far end of the table, the first voice spoke, deep and cold. Humanity has become a problem, it said. Their growth is faster than expected. Their weapons are evolving. Their defiance cannot be ignored. The others shifted. Glowing eyes flickered beneath the hoods. They are primitive, another voice hissed. Let them fight their little wars. They will burn themselves out. But the first speaker tapped a clawed finger on the table, and a hologram appeared. It showed a shattered fleet, massive alien warships broken apart in orbit, floating like dead whales in the dark. This was the Arkan Dominion's invasion force, he said. 12 ships, each capable of wiping out a continent. All destroyed. The room fell silent again. How? One whispered. How could humans do this? No one knows, replied the first. The last transmission from the Arkan ships was a single message. They are awake. The words hung in the air like poison. A smaller figure spoke next, voice trembling. Perhaps we should leave them alone. The humans are unpredictable. They learn from every defeat. Silence, snapped the leader. We are the Council of 12. We decide which species rise and which fall. And today, humanity's time ends with a wave of his hand. The hologram changed again, this time showing Earth, glowing blue and calm beneath the stars. One by one, the 12 placed their hands on glowing panels before them. A red circle appeared over the planet. It was the symbol of extermination. The vote is decided, said the leader. Humanity will be erased before they grow beyond control. Then, as the red light pulsed, the room flickered. For a moment, the star outside dimmed. What is that? One of them asked. A deep hum filled the chamber. The hologram of Earth distorted, glitching, as if something was pushing back. The temperature dropped. Every monitor on the wall began to show the same strange signal, a single wave repeating over and over. It's a transmission, said one of the technicians outside the circle. But it's coming from Earth. That's impossible, snapped another. They don't even know this frequency. This channel isn't connected to their network. The hum grew louder. The council's lights flickered. Then through the static a voice came through. It was not alien. It was not mechanical. It was human. We heard you. The words echoed through the room like thunder. Every member froze. We heard you. Again, louder this time. The holograms burst into static. Symbols across the control panels began to rewrite themselves in human code. The translation systems failed. One of the 12 tried to stand, shouting orders, but his voice was drowned by the growing storm of energy in the air. Sparks leaped from the walls. How did they— "Cut the link!" shouted the leader, but it was too late. The human voice continued, calm and steady. You watched us, judged us, decided our fate. But now we decide yours. Every screen went black. Then a single image appeared. The blue Earth, slowly turning in space. And beneath it, a message written in simple galactic script. We are coming. The chamber shook. The power systems crashed. The 12 stared at one another in silence. No one dared speak. Finally, the youngest among them whispered, It's not possible. They're just one planet. The leader slowly turned his hooded head. One planet, he said. And yet, they answered. Outside the chamber, the red star flickered again. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Council of 12 felt something they had never known before. Fear, somewhere far away, on the small blue planet they planned to destroy. Thousands of human satellites began to change their course. Across the dark side of the moon, a hidden network of machines came alive. And deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a massive system powered up, its sensors locking onto the stars. Earth had heard them, and Earth was getting ready to answer. The signal spread faster than light. Every relay station, every military beacon, every trade network in the galaxy picked it up, the human voice that said, "We heard you." At first, no one believed it. The Galactic Council claimed it was a trick, some leftover echo in deep space. But when the same message repeated again, clear and sharp, even the oldest species grew silent. The words carried a strange power. It was not just sound. It felt alive, as if something inside the message was watching whoever heard it. In the dark command center of the Varelian Empire, their Supreme Marshal stared at the recording for the 100th time. "Are you sure it came from Earth?" he asked his scientists. "Yes, Supreme Marshal," one of them replied nervously. "It came from within their solar system. The transmission ignored all our security filters. It entered through frequencies no species should be able to use." The Marshal leaned closer to the hologram of the small blue planet. "Primitive species do not send messages across the entire galactic network," he said quietly. Someone helped them, but no one answered. Because deep down, everyone was thinking the same thing. Maybe no one helped humanity. Maybe humanity helped itself. Across the stars, fear spread like wildfire. Merchant fleets shut down their long-range routes. Civilian broadcasts began warning travelers to stay away from human space. Even the great empires that once laughed at Earth now whispered the name like a curse, Earth, the planet that spoke back. Meanwhile, in the secret chamber of the Council of 12, chaos had replaced silence. "How could a primitive world break into our private channel?" One of the figures shouted. "That signal was impossible." "It wasn't a hack," another replied. "It was something else. It slipped through every layer of encryption as if it was part of the system itself." The leader slammed his hand on the table. "Enough! We will not be intimidated by a backward species. Send the scout fleet. I want surveillance on their planet, their moon, and every satellite they have." Outside the Council's tower, 12 black ships left the station in formation. Each ship carried cloaking systems that could hide them from any known radar. They would reach Earth in 2 standard cycles. But something strange happened. Halfway to the solar system, the lead ship suddenly vanished from the radar. The rest slowed down, trying to scan for traces, debris, signals, anything. There was nothing. Then, one by one, the others began to disappear too. No explosions, no distress calls, just silence. The last remaining ship sent a single fragment of data before it also went dark. It was an image, a tiny metal sphere floating in space. It was smooth, silent, and had the markings of Earth's old defense command. And then a line appeared beneath it. "You chose war." When the message reached the Council, even the leader could not speak for several seconds. "What kind of power is this?" one whispered. The leader slowly stood. "Power?" he said. "No, this is a warning." Far away on Earth's surface, in an underground base hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, a group of human engineers stared at dozens of glowing screens. The words, "Transmission sent," blinked in green. An older officer walked in, his uniform simple but his eyes sharp. "Is it done?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied a young woman. "The message reached the Council systems, and the decoys are working. They think it's just a defense signal." The officer smiled faintly. "Good. Let them believe that. They watched us for years. They thought we didn't see them." He turned to face the glowing map of the galaxy on the wall. "Now, they will learn what it means when Earth watches back." The next day, across multiple alien worlds, ships malfunctioned at the same time. Navigation systems turned off. Star maps changed without warning. Data logs were rewritten, showing ghost coordinates that led nowhere. Something was spreading like invisible, silent, intelligent, and everywhere it reached, one small message appeared in the system logs. "We heard you." The alien leaders called it the Echo virus. But no one could trace it. Every attempt to decode it ended with failure. Every probe sent toward Earth vanished. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity had learned to listen. And now it was speaking in ways no one else could. The Council gathered again. Their faces were pale, even behind their hoods. "Do we continue with the extermination order, When asked quietly, the leader stared at the hologram of Earth, still glowing faintly in the center of the chamber. "Yes," he said slowly. "We continue. But this time we bring the full armada." He leaned closer, his voice like ice. "They wanted our attention. Now they'll have it." But even as he spoke, the hologram of Earth flickered again, just for a second, and for those who looked closely, it seemed as if the planet itself was smiling. The alien armada approached the edge of the solar system in perfect silence. 12 sleek warships moved through the void, cloaked and invisible. Their mission was simple: observe, record, and if possible, destroy. Each ship carried weapons strong enough to erase entire cities. They had crushed dozens of young civilizations before. To them, Earth was supposed to be no different. But something felt wrong. Captain Thalor of the lead vessel stared at the strange readings on his screen. "Report," he ordered. "Unstable signals ahead, Captain," replied his second officer. "It's as if the space itself is echoing. Thalor frowned. "That's not possible." Then the lights flickered. For a second, the ship's navigation systems blinked out. When they came back online, the coordinates had changed. They were no longer near Pluto's orbit. They were somewhere unknown, a black space without stars. "Impossible," shouted Thalor. "Reverse course. Bring us back." But it was too late. Outside the ship, a small metallic sphere appeared, smooth, silent, and marked with the symbol of Earth's old space agency, NASA. The crew stared. "That thing is human," whispered one officer. "It's ancient." Before anyone could react, the sphere began to unfold. Tiny panels opened across its surface, releasing bright blue light. The ship's sensors went wild. "Captain, it's scanning us." Then came the sound, a low pulse that vibrated through every hull and bone. The crew covered their ears, but there was no escape. The pulse was inside their minds, and then across all communication channels, a voice spoke. "You should have stayed away." The next moment, the ship vanished. No explosion, no debris. Just silence. Back on the Council space station, alarms screamed. One by one, the ships disappeared from the fleet tracker. "What is happening?" cried one of the cloaked figures. "No distress signals, no transmissions," replied an aide. "They're just gone." The leader stood still, watching the data vanish. "They have begun," he whispered. The others turned toward him. "Who has begun?" "Humanity. On Earth, deep inside the Artemis Command Facility beneath the Nevada desert, a team of human officers stood before a massive screen. The hologram showed 12 red dots, alien ships, blinking out one after another. A calm female voice filled the room. "Operation Retaliation successful. All targets neutralized." The commander nodded. His face was tired but proud. "Good work. Begin cleanup protocol. Leave no trace." A younger officer stepped forward, confused. "Sir, what about the message? Should we send confirmation to the Council?" The commander smiled faintly. "We already did." He turned to the main screen. It now displayed a message, written in the Galactic standard language. "You chose war, far across the stars." That message appeared inside the Council's war room. The 12 watched in silence as it repeated again and again, their systems unable to delete it. "Enough," shouted one of them, slamming his fist on the table. "We will not be mocked by a single world." Another turned toward him. "Then explain how they did this. Explain how 12 cloaked warships vanished without trace." The leader finally raised his hand. The room fell quiet. "We underestimated them. They are not primitive anymore. They have been watching us, learning from us." He pointed toward the hologram of Earth. "Activate total surveillance. I want every sensor focused on that planet. I want to know what they've built." Meanwhile, inside the orbit of Mars, something was waking up. Hidden deep within an old asteroid mining base, rows of human drones began to activate. Their eyes glowed blue. They turned toward the same direction. Earth, a coded transmission pulsed between them, invisible to alien eyes. Protocol Sleeper. Stage 2 initiated. On Earth's surface, no one in the public knew what was happening. Life continued as normal. But in secret bunkers, in old forgotten labs, and in silent underwater cities, humans were preparing. The invasion they once feared was coming again. But this time, they would strike first. 3 days later, a massive energy spike appeared on the edge of the Orion sector, the same area where the Council's armada had vanished. Patrol ships were sent to investigate. What they found made every soldier on board freeze in terror. 12 empty alien ships floated in space, perfectly intact. No damage, no crew, no life signs. But each ship now bore a new emblem on its hull, a human handprint burned into the metal, inside every ship's bridge. One final message was written on the control screens. "We warned you," back at the council chamber. The 12 stared at the footage in disbelief. "They are mocking us," said one. "Trembling, they are sending a message," said another. The leader leaned forward slowly, his voice cold. "No, they are declaring war." He raised his hand toward the hologram of Earth. "Then we will answer." But somewhere, hidden deep beneath the oceans of Earth, the same voice that once said, "We heard you," whispered again, unheard by all but one. "Your turn." Far below the waves of the Pacific Ocean, deep inside a black steel fortress, red lights began to glow after decades of silence. The walls trembled. Massive doors opened. Inside, rows of sleeping machines awakened one by one. This was Facility 01, known to only a few humans. And the system that had been sleeping for 60 years had just received a signal. On the main command deck, an old man stood before a glowing console. His name was General Ryland Cross, commander of Earth's secret defense network, the Sleeper Project, he said quietly. "It's time." The technician beside him looked nervous. "Sir, are we sure?" "Once we activate them, there's no going back," General Cross nodded slowly. "The Council has declared war. They took our silence as weakness. Now they'll see what we've been building under their noses." He placed his hand on the control pad. The screen displayed 12 hidden defense codes, each one labeled with a single word: Sentinel, Phantom, Tempest, Iron Rain. With a calm voice, he gave the order. "Activate all units." The ocean floor shook. Giant towers began to rise from the deep, unfolding like mechanical flowers. Massive cannons turned toward the sky. Satellites in orbit came online, their sensors locking onto unknown signals. The Sleeper Project was no longer a secret. High above Earth, the Alien Council's surveillance probes detected movement in the ocean. Aboard the observation ship Virus, Commander Tal watched the feed with disbelief. "What are those things?" his officer asked. "Defensive structures," Tal said. "But their size, they're too large for a planet with Earth's energy output." Suddenly, one of the towers launched a beam into space, a silent pulse that traveled faster than light. It hit the observation ship before they could react. The feed cut off. Back in the council chamber, alarms filled the room. The leader slammed his hand on the table. "What was that?" "Our observation ship is gone," replied a trembling aide. "No explosion, no debris, just gone." The leader turned to the others. "They've weaponized energy we don't even understand. They've been preparing for us." Another council member hissed, "This is impossible. Humans do not possess the knowledge of hyperfold energy. Only our kind does." The leader looked up, his eyes burning beneath his hood. "They do now." Meanwhile, on Earth, inside the Sleeper Command network, a dozen holograms flickered to life, each one showing a different facility hidden somewhere on the planet. One inside the Arctic ice, one beneath the Sahara Desert, one deep in the Himalayas. Voices spoke in unison. "Command active! Sleeper units ready." General Cross stood in the center, surrounded by flickering blue light. He spoke to the AI core, known only as Athena. "Status report. All 12 sleeper sites are operational," Athena replied. "Humanity's defense grid is online. Phase 2 retaliation. Targets. The Galactic Council's main fleet is assembling near the Vega system. Estimated arrival 5 Earth days," Cross nodded. "Then we'll be ready before they reach us." He turned to his team. "Remember this moment. For years they watched us like insects. For years we pretended to be weak. But now," he pointed toward the stars on the screen, "now we show them what humanity really is." In orbit around the moon, hidden within a crater, an ancient satellite flickered to life. It was one of the first human crafts ever launched into space, Voyager 3, rebuilt and repurposed. Its golden disk no longer carried music and greetings. Now it carried coordinates. The satellite transmitted a coded message into deep space. Phase 2. Awakening. Across the solar system, hidden ships began to uncloak. They were human vessels, built in silence. Their technology far beyond anything the galaxy believed possible. The first fleet of Earth, the silent vanguard, was now awake. In the Council's war chamber, fear turned to rage. "They cannot be allowed to continue," one of the 12 shouted. "They are spreading like a virus." "Then we burn them," the leader said coldly. "Summon the Purge Armada. I want every world that supports humanity wiped from the stars." The others nodded in grim silence, but before the order could be transmitted, the chamber lights dimmed. The hologram of Earth appeared again, this time larger, brighter, and pulsing like a living heart. From the speakers came a calm, human voice. "You watched. You planned. You judged. Now watch again." The hologram shifted, showing 12 massive human ships leaving Earth's orbit. Each one carried markings identical to the missing alien armada from before. The humans had found them. And now they were coming. Inside Facility 01, General Cross received the final confirmation. All fleets were ready. Every defense system was armed. He looked out through the observation window, where the dark sea churned violently above the glowing towers. "Signal the Council," he said. "Tell them the age of hiding is over." Athena's voice echoed softly. "Message ready." "What should I say?" Cross smiled. "Say exactly what they said to us." The AI transmitted the message across the galactic network, bouncing through every frequency the Council once used. When it reached the Council's private chamber, every screen lit up with a single line. "We are awake." In the silent void between stars, 12 cloaked human ships adjusted their course. Their engines glowed red as they entered Hyperfold. Their destination, the Council's homeworld, and for the first time in galactic history, the Predators were about to meet something they could not. Control, humanity fully awakened. The chamber of the 12 had never been so loud. The walls shook from the echoes of their voices. For centuries these cloaked rulers had stood united, but now fear had torn them apart. "They have ships," shouted one. "Ships that should not exist. They have weapons that defy every law we know. They are only one world." Another screamed. "We can crush them with the Purge Armada." "And risk losing everything?" hissed a third. "Did you not see what happened to the scout fleet? They vanished without a trace." The leader sat in silence at the head of the table. His hood hid his face, but his glowing eyes revealed his anger. Finally he spoke. "Enough. Humanity has awakened faster than predicted, but we are still the rulers of this galaxy. We will not bow to a single world." He pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared, the image of Earth surrounded by strange patterns of light. "These are energy readings from the human defense grid. They have activated something they call the Sleeper Project. Its power levels are beyond anything we have ever measured." The room fell silent again. "They have broken every limit," whispered one of the younger council members. "They are not supposed to be capable of this." "How did they—" The leader turned sharply. "They learned from us. For centuries they listened. They studied our fallen ships, our weapons, our mistakes. They have turned our own power against us." Far away, in the shadows of a dying star, the Purge Armada was preparing to launch. 10,000 ships, millions of soldiers. The most powerful army ever built by the Council. But among the fleet commanders, doubt was spreading. Admiral Core, one of the oldest veterans, stared at the message still flashing on his ship's screen. "We are awake." Those words burned in his mind. What if we are the ones who started this? He whispered to his second officer. His officer looked shocked. "Admiral, they are a dangerous species. They destroyed our fleets. We must strike first," Core sighed. "Perhaps. But every time we attack them, we lose more than ships. We lose our certainty." He turned to the stars. "What if we're not fighting an enemy? What if we're fighting the future?" Back in the council chamber, tension reached its breaking point. Half the 12 demanded full-scale war. The other half wanted peace. "If we continue this," said one of the elder members, "we could destroy the entire galactic balance. Humanity's rise could be our fall." "They are a threat," shouted another. "They will come for us anyway." "They already have," said a calm voice near the end of the table. All turned to see Councillor Rin, the quietest among them. He raised a hand, and a hologram flickered into view. It showed a recording recovered from one of the vanished scout ships. The screen showed the face of a human commander standing before a wall of light. His uniform bore the symbol of the Terran Defense Command. The man spoke in a clear, steady voice. "To the 12 who rule from the shadows, we never wanted this war. We only wanted peace, but you kept watching. You judged us. You tried to end us. You taught us fear. Now we return it to you." The recording ended. Silence filled the chamber. The younger council members looked shaken. The leader's fists clenched. "So they send us messages now, warnings, empty threats." But his voice betrayed something deeper, uncertainty. On Earth, General Ryland Cross watched the same recording from his command center. He leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the stars. "Do you think they'll surrender?" asked one of his officers. Cross shook his head slowly. "No, they've ruled too long to surrender. They'll fight to hold on to their power, so what do we do?" He looked at the glowing map of the galaxy, filled with red dots, the Council's worlds. "We show them that humanity doesn't kneel." He turned toward the main screen. "Order all fleets to advance. The first wave moves toward the Vega line." Hours later, across the galaxy, the human fleets emerged from folded space, silent, fast, and deadly. The silent vanguard struck first, taking down enemy relays and blocking Council communication. Within minutes, half the Council's outer colonies went dark. The galaxy had never seen humans fight like this. No speeches, no warning, just precision, just power. Back in the chamber, panic replaced pride. "They're everywhere," one of the 12 shouted. "They move through space like ghosts. They have mastered the fold," cried another. "That's impossible." The leader rose from his seat, his cloak flowing like smoke. "No," he said coldly, "it's not impossible. They learned it from us, from the wrecks we left behind." He looked around the table, his voice deep and final. "This is no longer a war of planets. This is a war of survival." The others stared in silence, and for the first time in galactic history, the mighty Council of 12 realized something terrifying. They were no longer deciding humanity's fate. Humanity was deciding theirs. Outside the chamber, a young aide watched the stars through a glass window. A faint blue glow spread across the galaxy. Earth's fleets moving faster than light, cutting through the dark like fire. The aide whispered quietly to himself, "Maybe they were never monsters. Maybe they were just waiting for the right moment to rise." He didn't see the shadow behind him, one of the human stealth drones watching through a microcamera. It recorded his words, then disappeared into the void. Somewhere far from both Earth and the Council, a signal pulsed again. 3 simple words carried across every star system: "We're coming." The stars around the Vega line burned red. Dozens of alien fleets filled the darkness, their formation stretching across half a solar system. It was the largest armada ever assembled. 10,000 ships ready to destroy one small blue world. At the center of it all, the Council's flagship, the Eternal Judgment, waited in silence. The 12 watched from their chamber as their fleet moved into position. "This time," said the leader, his voice low, "Earth will not have time to speak." A massive weapon core began to charge beneath the ship's hull, glowing with white fire. The weapon could shatter moons. "Prepare to fire," the leader ordered, but before the command could be completed, the lights in the chamber flickered. Every monitor, every hologram, every communication screen went dark. Then a single voice echoed across the armada, a human voice. "We warned you!" In the silence that followed, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Then from the darkness beyond the Vega line, space folded open like torn fabric. Thousands of human ships emerged. They came in silence, their hulls black as night, their engines burning blue. Each ship bore the mark of the Terran Defense Command. And at the center of them, larger than all others, was a colossal flagship, the Soul's Wrath. Inside its command bridge, General Rylan Cross stood before the main display. "All fleets in position?" he asked. "Confirmed," replied his officer. "All 12 divisions ready. Awaiting your order." Cross looked out into the endless dark, where the alien fleet waited like a storm. "They wanted to judge us," he said quietly. "Now we'll show them what their judgment brought." He raised his hand. "Execute protocol." Earth's answer. Across space, every human ship came alive at once. Their weapons glowed with pure energy. Not plasma, not lasers, but something entirely new. A power born from the stolen knowledge of the Council and forged by human minds. The first volley hit the alien lines before they could react. 1,000 beams of white light cut through the darkness, slicing through massive warships like paper. The Council fleet responded, firing back with everything they had. Explosions lit the void. Planets shook. The Vega system turned into a battlefield of light and fire, but humanity didn't retreat. For every ship that fell, 2 more appeared from the fold gates. Inside the Council's flagship, panic spread. "They're everywhere!" cried one of the officers. "They're attacking from multiple dimensions at once." "That's impossible," another shouted. "No species can open that many folds." The leader slammed his hand against the table. "They can now," he growled. "They stole the secret from our own archives." Then the entire ship shook violently. A human strike squad had breached the outer shields. Small craft, human drones, swarmed around the massive alien ship, disabling engines and cutting power lines. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Soul's Wrath, General Cross watched the enemy flagship on his screen. "Target locked," said the tactical officer. Cross hesitated. "No, not yet. They need to see it first." He opened a communication channel to the Council's ship. A holographic connection sparked to life inside their chamber. The 12 turned and saw the face of a human for the first time. General Cross stared back at them, calm and cold. "You wanted humanity erased," he said. "You watched from your towers while others suffered. You called us dangerous." He leaned closer. "You were right." Before they could respond, he gave the order. "Fire." The Soul's Wrath released a single pulse beam. Silent, blinding, unstoppable. It hit the Council's flagship straight through its core. The explosion was like a newborn sun, lighting up the entire system. Ships on both sides stopped fighting to watch the blinding light spread. When the glare faded, the eternal judgment was gone. The Council's leadership had been erased in a single shot, but the humans did not celebrate. The voice of Athena, the AI commander, spoke across every Terran channel. "Energy levels critical. The fold field is unstable. If we stay, the system will collapse." General Cross looked at the burning stars. "Withdraw the fleets. We've made our point." The ships began to vanish one by one into fold space, leaving behind only silence and drifting wreckage. On a distant outpost world, alien survivors watched the destruction unfold through their scanners. One soldier whispered, "It's over." "The Council is gone," another replied, voice shaking. "No, it's just beginning. Humanity won't stop now. They'll come for all of us next." But the older soldier shook his head. "No, they won't come to destroy. They'll come to remind us who we really are. Prey." Back on Earth, under the same blue sky that had seen centuries of silence, the sleeper towers powered down one by one. General Cross stood before a wide glass window, looking at the stars. An officer approached. "Sir, the Council is destroyed. The fleet is returning. What happens now?" Cross didn't answer for a moment. He simply watched the horizon. Then he said, "Now the galaxy will listen. For the first time, they'll hear our voice. Not as victims, not as prey, but as equals." He turned toward the command screen. "Send the message." Athena's soft voice replied, "What message, sir?" Cross smiled. "The one they'll never forget." Moments later, across every world, every frequency, every surviving fleet, a human broadcast appeared. A single phrase, spoken in every galactic language. "This is Earth. We have answered." The stars burned quiet again. But in that silence, every world in the galaxy understood the same truth. Humanity had arrived, and this time, it wasn't asking for permission. The stars were quiet again. The war was over. The Council of 12 was gone, but peace did not come. Across the galaxy, alien empires trembled in fear. Whole fleets turned their guns toward the stars near Sol. On 1,000 worlds, leaders met in secret, whispering one word: humanity. Some called Earth the new empire. Others called it a threat greater than the Council itself. And deep inside the ruins of the old Council chamber, the survivors gathered once more. Not 12 this time, only 5. 5 broken leaders, burned and scarred, sitting among the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful government in the universe. The leader among them, the last of the Archon High Lords, leaned forward. "We made a mistake," he said softly. "We thought we could control them." Another hissed, "Then what now? Do we surrender?" "No," said the High Lord, "we adapt. If we cannot control them, we must become like them." His eyes glowed faintly beneath the hood. "The next age will not be the age of the Council. It will be the age of humanity, and we will survive it." Meanwhile, on Earth, the world had changed. The people had seen what lay beyond their skies: the fleets, the war, the truth. Cities glowed with new light. Orbital stations hung above the planet like silent guardians. The Terran Alliance had been born. Inside the command tower of the Sol Defense Center, General Rylan Cross stood before a vast window, watching the sunrise over the Pacific. Behind him, the AI Athena appeared in a faint shimmer of light, all systems restored. "Fleet reports 90% return," she said. "Casualties high, but victory is absolute." Cross nodded slowly. "Victory," he repeated. "Strange word. Feels empty now?" Athena tilted her head. "You expected peace." "I expected silence," he replied. "Instead, every world out there is watching us, waiting, deciding if we are saviors or monsters." Athena's voice softened. "What are we, sir?" Cross looked at the horizon. "Both, maybe. The galaxy forced us to fight. Now we decide what comes next." Hours later, the Terran Council gathered, a new council built not of rulers, but of soldiers, scientists, and explorers. They sat in the same room where humanity's first response had been sent into space. Cross entered quietly. "We've received thousands of messages from alien systems," he said. "Some begging for help, some begging for mercy, and some promising revenge." The room was silent. Everyone knew what the next choice meant: peace or domination, forgiveness or fear. Admiral Voss, one of the oldest commanders, stood. "If we strike now, we can control the entire rim within months. The galaxy will never threaten us again." But another voice, Dr. Elena Rowe, head of the science division, spoke up. "If we do that, we become what they were. We become the next council." Cross looked between them. "Then maybe the real question is, do we want to rule or do we want to lead?" The debate lasted for hours. Plans, data, and projections flashed across the room. Finally, Cross stood again. "Enough," he said quietly. "Humanity didn't survive by enslaving others. We survived because we refused to kneel. So now we'll build something different." He turned to Athena's projection. "Transmit to all systems. New message. Mark it as priority 1. Across the galaxy, every communication beacon, every relay, every ship received the same signal. A single voice, calm and human, echoed through the stars. This is Earth. The Council is gone. The galaxy is free. We do not come to rule. We come to rebuild. On distant worlds, alien children watched the message from cracked screens. Some wept, some stared in silence. For the first time in centuries, they heard not a command, but a promise. In the ruins of the council chamber, the surviving High Lord listened too. He clenched his claws in silence. "They think mercy will save them," he whispered. But deep in his heart, he knew. Mercy was exactly what made them powerful. Back on Earth, the night sky shimmered with the light of new ships leaving orbit. Not warships this time, but peace convoys, exploration fleets, and aid vessels. The age of fear had ended. A new age had begun. General Cross walked through the control deck one last time. Athena appeared beside him. The galaxy will remember this day, she said. He smiled faintly. They'll remember that we fought back. But I hope someday they remember something more, that we chose not to become the monsters we defeated. He stopped by the main window. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, cold, vast, and full of secrets. Cross raised his hand, touching the glass. Let them come. Let them see us. Let them know that humanity stood alone, and still stood tall. The earth rotated slowly below. Its oceans glowed under sunlight. Its cities pulsed with life, and across the galaxy billions of beings whispered the same name with awe: humanity. Far away, deep in uncharted space, a signal moved silently between stars. It carried no voice, no threat, only a symbol, a human hand reaching upward, surrounded by light. The message was simple: we are awake. We are watching. We are here.